Case Strategy Simplified. It's Japheth here, your producer, and I really quickly wanted to pop in to tell you about Black Belt. So if you're targeting a consulting role at a firm like McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Deloitte, Oliver Wyman, Accenture, you name it, Black Belt is a structured case prep program that might be exactly what you need to push you over the hump and land that offer. So it is a structured case coaching program where you'll get one-on-one coaching from a former McKinsey, Bain, or BCG consultant. You'll also get a year of free access to our new community for exclusive employer info sessions, training, master classes, community support, and much more. Last but not least, you get unlimited digital materials to support your case prep progress. Oh, and by the way, over 80% of Black Belts who complete the program land a consulting role. That's pretty incredible. So we'd love to see you inside of Black Belt. Join at the link in the show notes.
In this episode, I talk through the consulting hiring timeline. Look, this is a mystery even to industry insiders, so I've broken it down at a couple of different levels. First of all, we talk about the two pathways into consulting, through a university and through experienced hire. Then I go through a month-by-month breakdown where we talk through the different opportunities for you to apply, when the right time is, and how to know when you fit with a specific role. If you're an experienced hire, I also give you some specific tips for how you can improve your odds. Consulting hiring timelines are confusing even to industry insiders. They are a complete black box, which the firms don't help to demystify because they say things like, "We're always hiring. Please submit your application whenever you're ready to apply." And while they aren't totally untrue, it's an unhelpful way to think about consulting hiring timelines. In this episode, we're going to talk through what actually happens on the two pathways to consulting and specifically what the consulting hiring timelines are now. Let's dive in. First, there are two pathways to recruit into consulting. The first and most common is to go through an academic program. So you start in school and then you apply from your school or while you are in school. This is a standard hiring timeline that is set by the firms, and there really is no deviation from it. So if you're in school, you'll need to follow the guidelines to the letter because going outside of it will seem confusing to the firm and have a low likelihood of success. The exact opposite is if you're going in as an experienced hire. The advantage of experienced hires is that you can join the firm whenever they need you. If they have an uptick in hiring demand, you're right there to fill that spot. But what they need from you is readiness for your interview on the day that you apply because the timelines aren't set. And if they're interested, they'll call you immediately. If they're not, they'll either slow play it or they'll cancel your application and you'll have to reapply at another time. In order to avoid any of the confusion as an experienced hire, you 100% have to network with not just the firm of your choice, but also the specific office you have of interest. Off-cycle hiring and experienced hire recruiting is not usually handled in a central way. It's handled on an office-by-office basis. So to sum it up, the two different pathways are through an academic channel where you're currently enrolled in a program or as an experienced hire, which is absolutely everybody else. The reason these two pathways are important is that the consulting hiring timeline differs between each of the pathways. Let me walk through the standard month-by-month hiring timeline so you can understand when key things are happening. And if you're an experienced hire, I'll tell you when a few of the hot months are for you to apply as well. The first period of consulting hiring runs from February to April. These are the primary programs for advanced degree candidates. MDs, PhDs, MPHs, anyone who's not in a traditional MBA or an undergrad program. A lot of these are focused on specific specialty programs like Bridge to BCG, Bain Advantage, McKinsey Insight, and more. Each one of these programs have their own deadlines and their own specifications, but these are early programs where you will go through an application, through an interview, through the program. And then if you succeed through all three of those steps, you'll get the opportunity to interview in advance of other candidates for the upcoming year's hiring process. Next comes June. This is when the first application deadlines drop for key programs such as undergrad, master's degrees, for specialty masters, PhDs, MDs, and more, for both internships and for full-time. Basically, every type of academic hiring except for MBAs begins in June. This is important to note because there are multiple application deadlines. However, the June application deadline will be the most important one because some firms will fill every single one of their slots after June. They will only leave additional hiring in the potential case where they don't hire everyone out of the June application. So it's essential that you make sure that you apply early. Second-year MBAs complete their internships around the first week of August, and wouldn't you know it, right around the corner are the application deadlines for full-time hiring for MBAs. This is specifically for second years who are coming out of the summer and those who did not intern already in consulting or who want to reapply to work for a different firm. It's early, sometimes before you even get back to campus, so please make sure that you're aware of what the firm's deadlines are.
Here's a truth not many people know about consulting. At the entry levels, you'll spend 80% of your day in Excel and PowerPoint. Now, you just won't be using basic shortcuts or inputting simple formulas. You'll be building flexible, scenario-based models and extracting insights from those models to tell executive-level stories that drive to recommendations. Do you feel like you haven't used Excel and PowerPoint in that way before? Do you feel like you're behind because you didn't graduate from the right schools or have the right work experience before your consulting offer? Do you feel like your skills aren't going to be up to par with the rest of your incoming class? Do you want to set yourself apart as a top performer from day one? If so, Fast Track is for you. In Fast Track, we'll teach you how to build consulting models in Excel, and even more importantly, extract insights from the data to tell powerful stories that motivate action. If you're ready to catalyze your performance on the job and set yourself apart as a top performer, Fast Track is for you. Join the program today.
First-year MBAs have a little bit of breathing room, and November is the next peak month for recruiting hiring. November is when the application process begins for MBA programs. And you haven't finished financial accounting or marketing yet, but still you're expected to be ready for a case. Just pay attention. Some MBA hiring does happen through diversity conferences, which can happen even earlier than November as well. Finally, it's important for you as an experienced hire to know how you link in to the rest of this story. Look, most of the hiring, about 80% plus, is done through university programs, but that means that 20% is available to experienced hires. Outside of networking, how do you figure out when the right times are for you to apply? Well, if you're at the just post-undergraduate level, if you're just 1 or 2 years out of undergrad, you'll want to apply just before undergrad drop dates so that you can get in earlier than the undergrads that are coming. If you're just post-MBA, you'll want to follow that same traditional trajectory. You want to apply just before the full-time MBAs apply in August. And in general, firms often have a hiring spree in the spring because they'll hire all of these folks in the fall. And then as they're reassessing their actual needs for staffing, if they have an increase in those needs, they'll hire additional people at the end of the recruiting season. It's important to note here that the timelines that I've just mentioned are for US MBAs, undergrads, and more. So if you're international, recognize that there may be some offsets depending on the timing of school starts and specific firm or country needs. Just make sure to check in with your local universities to get the baseline and then follow that if you're an experienced hire in those markets as well. It's a great opportunity for you when you're thinking about consulting to know what the timelines are so that you can apply at the right time to give yourself a bigger and better chance to break into one of the world's most competitive fields. If you want the best leg up for breaking into consulting, we can help you with everything from editing your resume and cover letter to actually preparing you for the case interview and training you for the job with our Excel and PowerPoint courses. We would love to support you along your journey. Thanks so much for listening to this episode on consulting hiring timelines. If it's still a little confusing to you, maybe you should join our Black Belt program. It's the world's premier program to break into consulting, and will help you from everything from beginning with your resume and your cover letter through networking, case interviews, and beyond. You get access to 8 one-on-one sessions or more. You can focus on digital training, and we even help you with a cohort. So if you'd like to join our next session certification of Black Belt, please reach out for more information. team@managementconsulted.com. As always, if you liked this episode, we put out great content every week of the year. Please subscribe and follow our podcast.